Hi everyone, welcome to another Coco's Lincoln Live series. And this week we gonna talk more about the future of aviation data transfer between airlines and MROs. My name is Elizabeth Tadu and I am the marketing manager here at Coco System. And today we have our two amazing guests with us. Would you like to tell us about your name and your roles?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. My name is Henrik Ollus. I'm the Vice President of Aviation Data Exchange Business at Coco. And I'm working with enabling data exchange between different organizations within the aviation industry.
And my name is Patrick Corrigan. I'm the Business Development Director here at Coco, looking after the Aviatex solution. So that's more commercial aspects of bringing this solution to all our customers.
Well, thank you for being here today, guys. And this is an interactive discussion. So if you guys, the viewer out there, if you have any questions or any comments, please comment below because we'll try our best to answer all of your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so shall we start our first question? As we're talking here about the future of aviation data transfer between airlines and MRO. But the first thing I would like to cover something around digitalization. So I want to know what are you guys' thought on the current digitalization trends within aviation industry?
Yes, of course. So there's a lot of work going on using advanced technologies to assist and perform in the maintenance tasks, such as using drones for inspections, especially in hard to reach areas. Also using AI to perform some maintenance tasks and assisting with borescope inspections and helping to map out some damage. There's also augmented reality and being able to allow the mechanics to see their maintenance tasks as well as over mapping onto the aircraft. So there's a lot of work going in terms of executing maintenance. There's also electronic flight bag, electronic tech log. So there's a lot of advancements in that area about certainly making things paperless within an organization to carry out their maintenance more efficiently.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything Patrick said, and maybe something like to add from the more general level is that nowadays much more data is gathered about the assets during the processes related to the asset, and on the other hand, we have new technologies for analyzing data gathered. So, for example, AI, which has done huge leaps lately, and due to the bigger data availability and enhanced methods for analysis, there's really a lot of value to be gathered from having that data.
Yeah. What are those things that you think is still missing within the aviation industry?
Yes, of course. There's not much being looked at in terms of data transfer between organizations such as MROs, airlines, OEMs, and even lessors. Of course, we've got the work looking into blockchain in terms of that and how that can be utilized for maintenance record sharing. But that's very much in the early stages and also might need a bigger leap of faith from a lot of parties to enact that blockchain. So it might take a bit of time before that blockchain technology starts being rolled out and being more widely used within the aviation industry. But what I feel we can do is certainly take an act sooner than that and connect up each of these individual organizations together so that they can share data automatically through transfer, all while maintaining the data within their own repositories as well.
Yeah, definitely agree. So we can see clear digitalization within organizations in the aviation industry, and that has been going on for a while. But I agree that when it comes to external processes, that's where we are still doing the same way as we did 20 years ago. So people are manually inputting data, and it seems like a bit of a waste of a human to be doing that. There's much more productive things to do if that data exchange can be automated.
Yeah. So now we're moving to another question here, Patrick. Would you like to share us a little bit more about the overview, the current state of the data transfer between airlines and MROs provider in the aviation industry?
Yeah, certainly. So at the moment, the data typically on the originating source is extracted from their M&E system, so their executive source. It's either extracted in Excel format, in PDF, or even sometimes XML. It's then extracted, shared with their third-party organization, typically through email or SharePoint or some other file transfer perspective. And then that third-party organization is then manipulating that data into the format that they need to then upload it into their M&E system. And sometimes that's the manipulation manual, sometimes even inputting it into their maintenance system is also a manual task. And you can see there that even sending data back through to the same loop, because there's a bi-directional flow, is the exact same process, a lot of manual export and then manual re-importing back in. And that's during that process is where a lot of data quality errors can be introduced. And unfortunately, some of those can have a significant impact on the line and may not even be detected for quite some time. So you can see there's quite a lot of manual work that's been done in that process. And if you were to take, for example, like a heavy B check or something like that, or that's happening, if you think the sheer volume of tasks that are associated with that, you can see that that would be a lengthy process to do it in one cycle. But then when you also understand that during that D check, that work package will be revised quite a number of times. So that process is actually repeated significantly. So you can see there it's quite a heavy administrative task on both organizations to share data across each other.
I think that's really great points that you mentioned there, Patrick. And maybe Hendrik, would you like to share a little bit more? I know Patrick already shared some of the challenges that people facing in terms of data sharing within the aviation industry. But would you like to give us the primary challenges and then the pain point associated with manual data sharing that people are still facing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Patrick already covered several of the main ones. So manual data transfer is inefficient. So that's one part of it. Of course, the wasted human time. The second one is data quality issues, which Patrick also already mentioned. And data quality issues are often not caught in time and may cause airworthiness risks as well. And then the third one is that since we are in our industry, we are managing very high value assets. And sometimes these manual data exchange processes cause idle time for the assets. So for example, in this MRO case, heavy maintenance case, sometimes the physical maintenance is already done, but some of those data entry and data processes are causing or are delaying the release of the aircraft. And that gets very expensive very fast.
Yeah. So Hendrik, would you like to explain for the viewers out there what are point-to-point integration and what are the associated challenges that comes with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we call point-to-point integrations when two systems are integrated directly. And this is a valid way of doing data exchange in some cases. And what is a requirement is that the systems are not updated frequently because maintainability is often challenging with the point-to-point integrations. And then that there are not too many systems integrated because that increases complexity very quickly. And one way to think about that is that if you have two systems, it means one integration when those are integrated to each other. But if you have four systems, there's already going to be 6 links, so 6 integrations to get all of those systems talking to each other. And that expands exponentially. So if you have 10 systems, that's already going to be 45 separate integrations that you're maintaining. Of course, assuming that all of the systems are talking to each other. But that kind of illustrates, since of course most modern companies also in our industry are using tens of different systems. And for that reason, typically we are using as the overall system integration strategy, most companies are using a managed way of managing the integration. So some sort of integration platform. This is something often still lacking when we are looking at a network of different companies collaborating with each other. But the same problem exists there as well. And point-to-point integrations are especially inefficient when it comes to external data transfer. And that's because of a lack of transparency to the system updates on the other side. And also when you're accepting data into your systems from an external partner, you can usually not fully trust the data quality.
Yeah.
And these point-to-point integrations are typically missing this kind of data flow monitoring and data quality control components. So yeah, point-to-point integrations are useful in some cases, but when, for example, an MRO or an OEM are integrating to many of their partners, so all of their airlines, then a more managed way of rolling out and maintaining those integrations is needed.
Yes, Hendrik, so you have been working with so many different projects when it comes to point-to-point with external partner network. So would you like to give us some of example, or what is the solution looks like for the integrating across the external network partner?
Yeah, absolutely. So personally, I've been working about 4 years with Rolls-Royce and implementing a data exchange service between Rolls-Royce and all of their airline customers, the customer base. And more recently, I've been also working with other MROs, OEMs, and lessors in the industry, and of course the airlines. And what we found that is the working solution for establishing this kind of data exchange across, for example, an OEM's airline customer network. So it's a managed data exchange service which offers one interface to the customer, and through that interface they will receive the data from all of their partners. So for example, in the Rolls-Royce case, it's all of their airline customers. And the data is received from all of those airlines in a normalized format. So it's exactly in the same format from each of the different airlines, which will, of course, have different systems. So that data exchange service needs to normalize the data. And another very important component there is, again, the data quality checks. And when we're talking about data from any system where there are manual processes, so a human being is entering data or manipulating data, there is always going to be data quality issues. So that's also something that can be enabled with this kind of centralized data exchange service. But what is then needed to enable this? So I think the main component is deep domain expertise. So of course there is this kind of data exchange service or integration platforms are quite common, but in our industry the data and the processes related to those data are very specific, as well as the systems. So a domain knowledge in the systems, the data in those systems, and the processes by which that data is created, that is very important for enabling to set up this data exchange service.
So if we take it for a practical example of an aircraft going in for a heavy maintenance check to a third-party MRO, so an airline would create the work package within their M&E system. It would automatically then flow through to the MRO's M&E system, and we would create all those work packages, all those work instructions. And as that work package is revised even before the maintenance task starts, as they are revised, those updates will automatically flow through into the MRO's M&E system. And then any sort of, as those task cards are being closed out in the MRO's M&E system, they're also automatically flowed back directly into the airlines M&E system. So you can get that real-time information sharing on both parties. Information is flowing from both systems, starts at one system and finishes at the other. And so it's good knowledge sharing, or it's good data sharing throughout the work package. So even as the task starts and it gets through, then you're not just waiting to the very end to send through the all the information, or even just doing it periodically. It's obviously just that more real-time sharing of work completion tasks, any sort of findings, any sort of job cards, any changes to that work package is being shared in real time with all parties.
Yeah, that's an excellent example. So keeping the two systems in sync on the work package throughout the whole maintenance process, and then expanding the thinking from there, that you have the MRO, and of course they have probably tens of airline customers. So having that same data exchange with all of their customers. And then of course from the airline perspective, they're also typically using several different MROs. And so then having that integration to the different MROs. So to enable this kind of centralized data exchange services is really necessary as compared to the point-to-point integration.
Henrik, can you explain how digitalization, automation, and data standardization play a role in improving data transfer in aviation?
Yeah, definitely. So digitalization, automation, and standardization is definitely interlinked phenomenon. So digitalization means that processes are becoming more and more digital, which means that data is also available in a digital format. And this is something that has been progressing, and I feel that also the aviation industry is on a pretty good level at this when it comes to internal processes, as discussed earlier. And what digitalization enables is automation, of course. And that includes also external data exchange processes. So data exchange between airlines and MROs, for example. And there are a lot of associated benefits with that automation, and I think we have listed already several of them. But when it comes to data standardization, so data standardization is something that will enable the industry to have a common language when it comes to sharing data. Currently in the industry, most systems, they have their own ways of storing the data, they have their own data models in the interfaces. So basically, each system talks their own language. And the Air Transport Associations, ATA, have a set of data standards called, for example, ATA Spec 2000, ATA Spec 2500. And these are really industry-wide initiatives to get to this state where we have a common language on how we represent the data and share the data. So that's it in short.
We're starting to see now that some M&E systems and providers are starting to embrace into those definitions and those standards, and they're starting to incorporate those into future releases, which would be good because it will give that good footing and common language across different systems and across different airlines and providers in the aviation industry.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very positive signal that these standards have been around for a while. They're developed together in industry groups, so they are there and they're ready to be utilized. And now we are seeing that actually happening, and system vendors are starting to incorporate these standards into the new releases and interfaces in the systems.
All right. Thank you guys for sharing really great insights. And you guys already mentioned some of the pain points and challenges within the industry. And last question right now, and perhaps you can share for the viewers out there, what advice would you give to professionals within the aviation industry who are seeking to optimize their data transfer process and enhance collaboration?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say that my advice is not to accept the current ways of doing things. So I think the pain points are typically well understood when it comes to the challenges in the manual steps in the data exchange, but it's just the way we are used to doing things. So typically organizations are not going out to seek solutions for this. So digitalization has come quite far when it comes to internal processes. So I see that the low-hanging fruit are in digitalizing the external processes. So yeah, my advice is not to accept the current way of doing things.
And I would like to add to that would be to share data. It takes two parties, so seek out within your network of suppliers or OEMs or whomever somebody that's also keen to digitalize the processes, that they share data with yourselves. And also when you're reaching out to somebody that is looking to provide you with a digital exchange service, focus on somebody that has aviation domain knowledge experience, because as we all know, there's a lot of nuances, a lot of quirks in the aviation data and how it's all, what it all means. So people understanding what the data means when they go to transfer it and if they need to transform it will help reduce any sort of misinterpretations or anything like that further down the line that would then just make the connection not beneficial for anyone. So really reach out to somebody that actually understands what the data is and means, so that you'll have a smoother implementation.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for a great advice. And really, this is a great insight for the viewers out there. And also, just want to mention that digitalization is here to stay.
Yeah, certainly. And digitalization is here to help you be more efficient in your current work processes and jobs today. And it's also to then free up you with some more time to do some more value added tasks within your role in the organization, so that we can all benefit from those.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a wrap for our discussion today. And if you have any questions or any suggestion, more than welcome to comment below, and we're still gonna answer your question. And also,
yeah, and I'd like to say thanks very much for listening to our LinkedIn Live session here today. And if you want to ask any sort of specific questions, please feel free to reach out and connect with me. I'm happy to share and have a chat with whomever wants to reach out and connect.
Yeah, likewise. So if you come up with any questions you didn't have a chance to ask here during the webinar, I'm always happy to connect with other industry professionals, and I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards. So please just send out a connection request. Thank you.
well, thank you guys for this amazing discussion. So we'll see you for our next webinar session. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.